You guys, I don't think I've ever seen someone document their own unraveling in real time the way Taylor Frankie Paul is doing right now. And I want to be careful with how I say this because it would be so easy to turn this into a joke, and it is not a joke. Over the last few weeks, she has been posting on Instagram and TikTok almost like it's a private diary she forgot 2.5 million people can read. Photos of herself crying in bathrooms, captions about being up all night, a post that just listed the words comfort on the floor, up all night, confused, pure exhaustion, with a row of photos of her face streaked with tears. That one got deleted. But people screenshot everything, and the internet does not let you take things back. And I think a lot of you watching are having the same reaction I had, which is not gossip. It's just, oh, she's really not okay. So let's actually walk through what's happening, because the legal side of this is genuinely more serious than most people realize. And I think the headlines have been flattening it into something simpler than it is. On July 13th, the Utah Attorney General's office filed a petition in juvenile court on behalf of the state's Division of Child and Family Services. And this is the part people keep getting wrong. This is not Dakota filing something. This is not Tate filing something. This is the state. The petition asks a judge to find that all three of Taylor's children, her 8-year-old daughter and her son with Tate Paul, and 2-year-old Ever with Dakota Mortensen, meet Utah's legal definition of abused, neglected, or dependent. It asks the court to order protective supervision. It asks for a guardian ad litem, which is an attorney appointed to represent the children's interests separately from either parent. And it requested priority scheduling so the whole thing moves through juvenile court fast. The filing also references the family's earlier history with DCFs and the ongoing custody matters involving both of her exes. Taylor's attorney put out a statement saying it had been decided the custody actions were better suited for juvenile court, and calling that a common step for families in highly contentious, complex custody matters. The statement said she isn't deterred by the transition, that she welcomes the added structure and oversight, and that she appreciates the professionalism of DCFs. And look, that's a lawyer's statement. Lawyers write those to sound calm. Then 5 days later, Taylor herself posted a long video, and it did not sound like a lawyer's statement at all. She said she hadn't read the documents because she didn't need to. She lived it. She said some of what's out there is false, some of it's true, and anything that's genuinely misconstrued she'll handle with her attorneys in a courtroom. She pushed back on the therapist described in the filing, saying she
had false information out there, and so therefore it doesn't affect me because it's not true. That being said, there are some things that are true as well. I like to give my peace of mind on whether anyone wants to hear it or not. Documents going around right now, and even more today, I believe, but it's kind of like a show for me where I don't need to go read them because I lived it. So however it's perceived or what is said, maybe accurate, maybe not, could be exaggerated, twisted. What I do know is I lived it and I know the truth. Obviously this is a much serious matter, so if there's something way off or misconstrued, that is something I'm taking up with my attorneys, and that will be handled in the courtroom. There were some things that were in the filings that were raised concerns. Let's start with the therapist that spoke on me. I had met a total, I believe, of 3 times. He had an issue with me going into my car when we had our virtual meetings, which is where I go when I'm trying to get away from like the noise. I've never had a therapist have an issue with that. If anything, it was like preferred because it was private. Honestly, don't care if people believe me or not. This is just for like my own peace of mind and my truth. Reached out to her, letting her know that I was struggling. I needed some extra support at the time, and she was like, oh, let me see when I can get you in next week. When you're in a panic attack, usually your therapist like wants more media attention, not next week when I can get you in. There was one time that I was crying and she was like, why are you crying? And it made me feel very uncomfortable. I didn't take my mental health seriously, which is far from the truth because I'm a huge advocate for mental health. So that honestly offended me because I'm very open with her, barely knowing her. I knew she just wasn't the fit. I do have a certified therapist. I have a life coach. So there are 2 other people that helped me in my life immensely. They just didn't have the EMDR training. Okay, let's get to the allegations that were kind of frustrating to me to hear. Change diapers. Not once have I forced or made my daughter change diapers. If she ever wanted to, I let her. Likes to help. She's in that phase of like mommy's helper, wanting to do like the diaper bags, changing. If that is bad on me, then so be it. Another frustrating one to hear was an outburst during a visit. I do remember that day specifically, and I was emotional and I was like, let me take a step outside. And so I went to go take a breather, which I think would be the correct thing to do to de-escalate emotions. Like, go outside to breathe. I would never leave someone in my home unintended or ask someone to lock up if my house locks up itself. And I'm actually not here to sway anyone. I'm an open book. I will give you the ugly and the pretty if you know me. I don't claim to be this Mother of the Year of my faults. I also have a right to stick up for myself, give context of my life. I will admit I am a lot of things. I can confidently say you were to put any of my children up on a stand, they are choosing mom and mom's house every time, and I say that with full confidence because I love my children. They know that I love them. I'm just at a loss of words on this experience. It's been the most difficult thing I've ever been through. You know, some people think the best thing is getting offline. My decision is to show this process and how ugly it is and made mistakes. I will own that. I can see that. And my son is with.
Both of them accused the other. Neither was charged. And the records that were released included photos of injuries on both of them. Third thing, and almost nobody has mentioned this, her probation from the 2023 case, the one where she pleaded to aggravated assault after that altercation with Dakota, that probation runs out this month, August 2026. So the state's child welfare petition lands in the exact window where the last of her legal supervision from 3 years ago was finally supposed to end. Whether that's coincidence or not, I genuinely don't know, but she's clearly aware of the timing because she publicly questioned why those documents leaked when they did. Then you've got the Crew Eaton situation, which is its own thread. Eaton is a friend of Dakota's, and he's the person who posted that video of Taylor sobbing during a fight. On July 11th, she filed for a civil stalking injunction against him, and on July 15th, she was granted a temporary one, barring him from contacting her and from posting about her online. He requested a hearing to challenge it, denying the allegations, and a source close to him told Us Weekly his family's been attacked, he's received death threats, and it's cost him work. That objection hearing is August 7th. And in the middle of all of that, TMZ confirmed Dakota is now dating Shania Powell, which if you watched season 4, you know exactly why that lands the way it does. Dakota admitted on camera to hooking up with Shania, apologized to Taylor for it, and it detonated the entire friend group right as Taylor was leaving to film a Bachelorette season that Disney would later pull off the air entirely. A source said Shania has been a steady source of support for him and that their friendship grew into something more. They were photographed cuddling at a Salt Lake Bees game a couple days later. So when you look at Taylor's posts through all of that, they read differently. The one where she said she's getting whiplash, that it's either cops, DCFs, or flowers. The one about taking her usual drive and crying for hours, admitting she let ego and defensiveness take over in the mom talk fallout, saying she recognizes she's not herself and that it hurts to admit, saying she misses her kids so much she can't walk down the hall to their rooms, and then the very next kind of post being screenshots of men texting her captioned like a victory lap. People find that whiplash confusing. I don't. That's not two different people. That's one person alternating between grief and armor, sometimes within the same hour, because the armor is the only thing making the grief survivable. And to be fair to her, the argument her supporters make is a real one. Somebody in her comments said the internet isn't going to stop the court case or hand her custody. Somebody else pointed out this is literally her job. It's how she pays the attorneys, and you wouldn't tell someone with a normal job to just quit. She liked that one. Both things can be true. It can be her livelihood and still be the thing making everything worse. I don't know how this ends. I know there are children in the middle of it who didn't choose any of it, and that's the part I actually can't stop thinking about. And if any of this is hitting close to home for you, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-SAFE. Last thing, if you'd rather get this from somebody who is going to tell you when the reporting is thin instead of pretending every rumor is confirmed, subscribe before you go, because August 7th is days away and the juvenile court case is just getting started, and I promise you the version of this that goes viral next week will not be the accurate one. I'd rather you hear it here first and hear it right. Tell me where you land in the comments. I actually read them. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.